6 money traps you must avoid in your 30s. What you don't know can hurt you seriously, and that is a fact. Your 30s are a very important decade of your life, where every positive steps can really get you ahead, and mistakes can also set you back in life big time. That is why it is important to learn about these common money mistakes and avoid them at all costs. This video also definitely applies to you if you're in your 20s or any age bracket you might be. Many people has fallen into the last trap I mentioned in this video and regretted it. And it has to do with your golden years. So be sure to watch until the end so you don't miss out on that. The first money trap to avoid in your 30s is buying beyond your means. In your 30s, when your career seems to be taking shape and maybe you have just gotten a promotion at work, it is common to start feeling the pressure to buy a house or drive a decent car. While these are all appealing to have, but they can easily become a money trap when you buy above your means. For instance, buying a house you can't afford, and this often happens when you want to live in the same neighborhood as your friends or colleagues. Most people fail to realize this at the beginning, but simply by buying a house that you can't afford, it automatically increases all your other expenses. Your utility bills increases, you can be sure that your electric and gas bill will be higher than usual. Where you shop, the cost of grocery shopping will increase. The school your kids attend, the price of everything increases. And the same thing happens when you buy a car beyond your means. The cost of gas, high cost of maintenance and insurance, everything will now have a premium on it. You must try as much as possible not to fall into these traps. Remember that your financial responsibilities are completely different from those of your colleagues. They might be single or not have any financial obligations. I mean, it's easy to look sharp when you haven't done any work. The second money traps to avoid in your 30s is having an expensive significant other. Many people, particularly men, have made this mistake and carried the financial burden all their lives. In your 30s, you are probably considering settling down and starting a family, which is great. However, you have to make sure that you and your partner are on the same page when it comes to money ideology and spending habits. You might be busy saving for the family's financial goal, and your partner is out purchasing expensive toys and gold-plated iPhone. You will take one step forward and your partner drags you 2 steps backwards. You're never gonna get anywhere financially. That is why it's important to settle down with someone who has similar or better money values so that you can support each other and grow. And it is really easy to spot this during dating. You kind of see the hints, but most people choose to ignore it. Occasionally splurging on expensive gifts for your partner is part of the romance, but it's also important to manage expectations that, this is a once-in-a-while kind of thing. Now, choosing a partner with high financial need is not completely a bad idea, but you must understand what you are getting yourself into, because sooner than later, you'll be the one sponsoring all their lifestyle. Initially, your partner might claim that they can take care of themselves financially, right? But circumstances change quickly too, especially when you start having children. You can't realistically expect your partner to maintain the same level of financial independence while raising a family. Of course not. The key point here is taking ownership of who you are right from the beginning. Don't pretend, especially if you want to make her permanent. Communicate and ensure that your partner shares the same money values as yourself. This will save you a lot of bad decisions in the future. But if you're already in this situation, I'm not saying you should leave your partner, but maybe it's time to have that money talk you should have had a long time ago. Please smash that like button if you're getting any value from this so far. It really helps the video to get shown to more people by the YouTube algorithm, and thank you very much. Now, the remaining money traps are where it gets a bit more direct, so please keep an open mind. The third money trap to avoid in your 30s is remaining financially illiterate. As I said in the beginning of this video, what you don't know can hurt you big time. Not having basic financial knowledge have caused many people to fall into financial traps that could have been easily avoided. Many people today have credit cards but don't understand how they work, or how 3% interest may differ from 4% in your mortgage payment. An average person might say it's only 1%, but that 1% could translate into you paying $100,000 more over the period of your loan. And all this would be simply because you failed to learn the basics of your personal finances. Hey, I'm not saying you should get a degree in finance or accounting, but you have to know the basics. Learn the ABCs of money management, how to create a budget, how to calculate your net worth, and understand liabilities. I see many people saying stuff like, I'm not good with money. But the truth is that nobody was born good with money. It is a skill and it can always be learned. It doesn't take much to educate yourself about money. Everything that I have mentioned here, if you would Google them individually, I can guarantee that you will learn more about each topic to help you avoid any more costly mistakes in the future. The fourth money trap to avoid in your 30s is not having a budget. You know, many people work so hard for their money. Like you will toil away for the whole month. Yet, once you get paid, you will spend without much thought, as if the money wasn't hard to make in the first place. Not having a budget means you are not paying attention to how you spend your hard-earned money, and you will always end up spending everything you have made. So, because I want you to avoid this trap, it's important I mention to you that setting a budget is really easy. Just know how much your income is, deduct your main expenses, and keep a small amount aside for savings. Then every other thing, you can allocate them respectively to fund your lifestyle. I know someone who always keeps a specific amount of money in an envelope labeled hanging out with friends. Once that envelope is empty, he stays home. This means you don't overspend on social activities alone. And you can also have something similar set up to cover all your other areas of interest. Some people mistake having a budget for not living freely. But that's not true, because you are the one that sets up this budget, which means you choose mindfully how you want to spend your money and avoid getting caught up in situations where you spend so much money that you would wake up to regret it the next day. I mean, this has happened to me so many times. Having a budget and sticking to it is very important for achieving financial stability. Without one, you will always be in a never-ending cycle of chasing money, feeling short, and never truly gaining control of your finances. The fifth money trap is not having an emergency fund. This is what I like to call the money that makes you a man, a hero, or a strong woman, as the case may be. If there is one thing we know for sure, it's that life is full of surprises. And when life happens, when these surprises come, not having an emergency fund puts you in a very difficult situation. And this is when most people make their worst financial decisions. For instance, during this period of historic floodings due to climate change, let's say your neighborhood got hit by flooding and damaged everything in your house, right? Even if insurance covers most of it, you still have to fix the house and make it livable again for your family. Now, if you didn't set aside this money that makes you a man, when it's time to handle a problem like a real man, you'll be looking sideways. This is when many people turn to loan sharks or get credit cards with insane amount of interest on them. And believe me, very few people are able to get out of this kind of loans in one piece. So to avoid looking for cash when you're already desperate, it's important you set aside this money and label it emergency fund. In most cases, serious emergencies like I just mentioned rarely happen, but once in a while, your car breaks down, or a sudden illness in the family, or you might get laid off from your job. In this surprising moment, having an emergency fund always comes to the rescue. And finally, the sixth money trap to avoid in your 30s is not investing for retirement. Now, I need you to picture yourself at 67 years old, waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning and getting ready for your part-time security job. I know, it doesn't look good, right? In your 30s, retirement might be the last thing on your mind because it always seems so far away. But the truth is that life moves fast. Starting to invest early gives time for your money to grow, thanks to the power of compound interest. Although it's true that handling your current day-to-day financial responsibilities can be challenging, but not investing towards your retirement is the biggest financial mistake you can make. Research shows that in the US alone, over 11 million Americans, which is 1 in 5 people over the age of 65, are still working because they have to. In your 30s, investing for retirement might seem like an extreme form of delayed gratifications. But as time goes on, knowing that you are financially covered in your golden years gives you a different kind of confidence. To avoid this trap, if you haven't already, sign up for your employer's 401k plan immediately. And if your employer doesn't offer one, set up an individual retirement account, IRA, and automate your contributions. And this doesn't apply only to people in the US. You can also set up an individual retirement account in anywhere you are. Simply do a quick Google search right now. Individual retirement accounts in your country. There you go, and automate your monthly contribution. The younger you start, in your 20s or in your 30s, the less you will have to invest, and the less it affects your current financial situation. Generally, it means you invest a little now and you get a much bigger return later as your money multiplies over time with the help of compound interest. It's like gradually saving money with little efforts for yourself to use when you get old. And there you have it, the 6 money traps to avoid in your 30s. The first is buying beyond your means. The second is having an expensive significant other. The third is remaining financially illiterate. The fourth is not having a budget. The fifth is not having an emergency fund. And finally is not investing for retirement. So have you fallen for any of these traps before? Share your experiences with us in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Now that you are aware of these traps and how to avoid them, it's time you get ahead of the game. Check out this video right here, how to get ahead of most people this coming year. I will see you there.